Welcome to the D6 Family Ministry Podcast, a place where ideas, principles, and personalities come together to give you a ministry advantage that empowers the church and home.
I don't know anything more important in our society or in the kingdom of God than to help the church, help the family.
Discipleship is not an event, it's a way of life.
And one day it just hit me that discipleship at home was not about doing more. It was about inviting Christ into what we were already doing.
The goal of family ministry is not families sitting on the couch holding hands and singing Kumbaya. The ultimate goal is families that love God, love people, and make disciples of all peoples.
So that's why you're here. You're here to say 1 hour a week, as significant and as awesome as it is, we know that it's not enough and we want to be intentional with every hour.
You're listening to the D6 Podcast. Here are your hosts, Marianne Howard, Ron Hunter, and Josh Wooten.
I am excited about today's interview. She says some really important things that I just absolutely needed to hear as a mother. Anytime the word slow is included in any concept, I need to pause and hear it. She talks about leveraging family dinner time and just making that a part of a routine. And so I thought we could talk about, what is y'all's favorite family meal to have together? Like, what's the meal that your kids and you all are like, let's have this. And everybody's going to show up for that meal. I know you guys have adult children, but what's that meal that's a favorite family meal for your family?
We have a couple. One is hot chicken. If I break out the deep fryer, because it's an ordeal. It is messy. It is a process. It's not something you can just whip up. And it doesn't happen very often. So when it does, the kids come running, and they're not even in the house anymore. But if they know that I'm frying up some hot chicken, they will be there and bring their friends. Another one is we like to do a very elaborate Taco Tuesday sometimes, the spread, grilled chicken, grilled steak, like Lena's homemade tableside guacamole, the whole 9 yards. And it's a hit with everybody.
Wow. Now I've got to chase a little rabbit and then I'll answer. But your hot chicken that you fix for the whole family, what level of heat do you bring, Josh? Because let me let our listeners in on a little side note here. Josh is one of 2 or 3 friends I have in this world who is way more manly than I am when it comes to spice level of eating hot chicken. He can deal with the heat, the topmost one. And I like on a 0 to 10, he can handle 10. I can handle like a 1.
Well, I always have to start with no spice for Lena because she does not do hot chicken. So I make some plain tenders, I make some medium, and then I do a batch of hot for myself and my daughter Hannah, who can actually take the heat. Yeah,
nice.
She was eating hot wings and hot chicken when she was like 6 years old. So
sweet.
I have raised her to have asbestos lips.
Your son-in-law can make some heat. He made some jambalaya for us, and let me tell you guys, the Cajuns out there listening would have been proud of it.
Yes,
man.
Peyton Smith can whip up the jambalaya, and he brings the heat with it.
Yes.
Man. Our family loved to get around the dinner table for Sunday night breakfast. That sounds odd, but we did our tradition. That was our one. We knew every Sunday night we were eating breakfast. Now, the menu might change. I might be doing homemade omelets, with whatever ingredients they want. It might be pancakes. It might be French toast. It might be. Now, this is very much a Southern thing, but grits and eggs. And
yes, sir.
You get mixed. You make that egg runny and you mix it and you have bacon and everything else. And our family loves grits and eggs. So that was our fun time. And Dad would do the short order and sometimes cook a mixture of those items for people. So, yeah. What about you, Marianne? What's the meal for you guys?
Oh, my boys, they get excited about 2 meals. And I'm telling you what, it is something else. They get excited. They're so excited. The first one is when I cook salmon. I do salmon, mashed potatoes. I buy my salmon from Costco. I don't know why it's better, but it is. Salmon
Now
And
that's saying something, because salmon is an acquired taste, and it's rare that every person in the family likes it. So you're doing many things right to make that happen, Marianne.
they love my salmon. Well, it involves a lot of Kerrygold butter. And and then we've got potatoes and all the things, but that's the first one. And then the second one is my chicken spaghetti. And it is the meal that I take when there's a funeral or when there's a birth. And it is something we can eat. It's really good leftover. And you guys know I don't do leftovers, but when I make my chicken spaghetti, it's got a secret ingredient in it. When I make my chicken
It's
spaghetti,
the coffee grounds. She brought in the Kerrygold. Now it's the coffee grounds with gold. What do you think, Josh?
Oh my goodness.
Here you go, butter.
There's butter in it. Yes, there is more butter in it. So I'm excited about our interview today. Karen Kennemur, she tackles some important things about parenting and the pace in which we operate in parenting and how that matters. And so you are not going to want to miss this. Get ready, get your pen ready, and we are going to discuss some of her highlights on the other side of the interview.
The D6 Conference is thrilled to present a lineup of more than 70 experts specializing in family ministry who are ready to inspire, challenge, and equip you with strategies for generational discipleship. Guided by the teachings of Deuteronomy 6, which calls for a love for God and a full-hearted engagement with His Word and impressing His Word on the hearts of families, the D6 Conference is meticulously crafted to instruct, empower, and inspire ministry leaders, parents, pastors, and volunteers to embody the vision and mission laid out in this sacred text. This event stands as a premier family ministry conference, offering invaluable opportunity for your entire team to be inspired, engage in idea exchanges, and foster new relationships with like-minded church leaders. With the choice of breakout sessions led by leading voices in family ministry, you're guaranteed to walk away equipped with practical tools and resources that will prove instrumental in your ministry. Whether in Orlando or Seattle, we invite you in 2024 to be a part of this transformative conversation and explore how you can adopt an all-inclusive approach to discipleship for both your church and your home. Don't miss out on this chance to elevate your discipleship approach. Register now at d6conference.com.
We are live from the D6 Conference in Orlando, Florida, and I'm joined by Karen Kennemur. Karen is the Children's and Family Ministry Associate for the Southern Baptist of Texas Convention and the Professor of Children's Ministry at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. Karen holds a PhD in childhood education. Prior to teaching, she worked in the local church as a preschool and children's minister and weekday director. Karen, thanks for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So the days are long and the years are short. I'm sure every parent has heard that and probably said that, right? Mm-hmm. And in today's world, if the response to "how have you been" is not busy, then it probably startles people like, what, you're not busy, you know? And in thinking about those two things and about how short of a time we have with our kids, but also the busyness of our schedules, you present this idea of slow parenting. Tell us, what in the world do you mean by slow parenting?
Well, there's several definitions out there, but my definition of slow parenting is a slowing down the pace of our world. So you're the parent, you have this family, it's your world. So if you would take the time to slow your world down, so slow parenting is taking opportunities and advantages of taking advantage of opportunities where there's time to build relationships with your children. It's taking time to rest. It's taking time to uncomplicate the world for your children. Mainly, it's to build relationships with your children and each other, to enjoy God's world, enjoy His gifts and His blessings.
Well, I have 4 boys, and they are all involved in all the things, right? And so our schedule gets filled up really quickly. How can I, as a parent, make the most of every minute that I have with them?
It's a great question. So I had 3 kids, And now I have 3 kids, 2 daughter-in-laws, and 5 grandchildren. And it seems that the world just gets faster and faster and faster. I loved the busyness, but I can remember a time getting it where it was too much. So a guy named Richard Louv wrote a book in 2008, called Last Child in the Woods. And in this book, it tells this story about, and you'll see yourself. I saw myself in this too. So you get your kids up, you're ready to go. You're ready to go. They're not ready to go, right? So you're
Right.
trying to have this fast and furious attitude. Get in the car. It's time to go to school. You've got to go to work. They've got to go to school. It's mass chaos, especially on Monday mornings, right? Mm-hmm. And so you hurry. And then you get in the car. And what do? You get in the car to get to school, to get in the line to wait.
Right. Hurry up and wait, right?
Yeah. And so you're frazzled. Your kids are frazzled. And so in the story, this is the story in the book of a mom that's doing this, right? So she gets to the school one day, and she looks at the line, and she thinks about her kids. She thinks about herself when she gets to work. She said, by the time I get to work, I'm frazzled. Mm. I can only imagine what my kids are like by the time they get into their classroom. So the school was in a private, it was in a home community. There's lots of homes. And so she decided that she was going to park 2 blocks away from the school, and they were going to walk to school. And so in those 2 blocks from the school, they waved to the neighbors. You can see maybe a retired man out, picking up the newspaper, watering the lawn. So they waved to the neighbors, and she said the neighbors got used to them walking. And so it was a friendly kind of relationship with the neighbors. She said we talked about what the day was going to look like. We listened to the birds. We, saw the butterflies. And she said it made such a difference. So by the time she got to work, she wasn't frazzled. She felt like a better mom, that she wasn't pushing her kids out of the car, that they were, she was walking up to school, they were walking into their classrooms just very calm. And what an opportunity. That's a time to build relationships. So that is slow parenting to me. So you're taking advantage, you're thinking about the world, but how can you slow that down? Because, we only have 18 years with our kids, and that's not long. Anyway, that's...
And it seems like that's not like a huge investment of time. What is it, like 5 more minutes, getting up 5 minutes earlier just to be able to do that. But those 5 minutes, that's 25 minutes in a week,
Yeah, and so a guy named Christian Smith wrote a book in 2022, 2021. He led a research study in the late, 2018, 2019. And it's out of a book called something like Handing Down Faith to Your Children. Christian Smith, something like Handing Down Your Faith. But the study wasn't just of Christians. It was religions in the United States. So they studied Hindus, Muslims. They looked at evangelicals, mainstream Christians. They looked at different regions of the United States. It was a great qualitative study. They spent 45 minutes with each person, and they did 250 interviews. So the important thing that they learned was, while praying with your children is important, while reading the Bible is important, the most important and the most effective way of passing down your faith to your child is in casual conversations. It's D6. It's right. Deuteronomy 6. As you go, walk and talk. As you lay down, you're talking about God's truth throughout the day. So, to me, it's kind of like you see a dad and his son fishing. And so in this casual conversation where they're taking time, slow parenting, they've stopped, they're doing something enjoyable that they both love. And can't you just see the little boy says, "Hey, Dad, so do you believe in God?" Okay, it doesn't take a theology person to answer that question. Yeah, we either do or we don't, right? Yeah, I believe in God. Well, why do you believe in God? And so it's those casual conversations that help children pass down their faith. So if you don't have slow parenting and you're not building relationships, then how can we expect to pass down our faith to our children?
Yeah, that's great. We are going to take a quick break and be right back to this conversation.
We are excited to introduce you to a remarkable new book that will transform your approach to children's ministry. The Faith of Our Children, 8 Timely Research Insights for Discipling the Next Generation by Matt Markins. If you're a children's ministry leader, you know the profound impact early faith formation can have on young lives. In The Faith of Our Children, Matt Markins, President and CEO of Awana, a global leader in child discipleship, delves into the primary areas that lay the foundation for a lasting faith. This book serves as an indispensable guide, equipping you and your team with the insights and systems needed to cultivate faith that endures. Download a free chapter of The Faith of Our Children at d6family.com.
And we're back with Miss Karen Kennemur. Karen, I love the fact that you're giving an example of slow parenting, just a dad fishing with his son, but the opportunity that dad has just to have conversation with them, right? How can the church help with this? Does the church play a role at all? I think that sometimes, because I'm a church leader, right, and I think we need to provide opportunities for that parent, right? But then at the same time, are we just adding to the busyness of the schedule and not really providing the opportunity? Or what is the role that the church needs to play in both setting that parent up for success and protecting the family from that?
Yeah, that's good. So some churches do a lot for families and children. Some churches do almost nothing for children and their families. If we look at, we all know we just went through this world pandemic like years ago, right? So if we look at some of our churches before the pandemic, they were, you would call them program driven. So they had a program, they had children's programming for lots of times during the week. So I work with a lot of churches, a lot of church leaders, a lot of children's ministers. And so one of the things I have asked several people is, so now that we're out of the pandemic and the world is getting back to a normal state, whatever normal is, what did you learn? And time again, people will say, what I've learned is that we got rid of all extra programming. The only time we do things with children and families is the scheduled time that we have on Sunday morning and on Wednesday evening. And so if I'm going to do something special and significant, then I'm going to do it during those times. And so all of the extra stuff, the Saturday stuff, the Monday night stuff or whatever, it has to fit into these 2 time slots. And so when I hear children's ministers say that, I'm like, wow, that's good because it's family friendly. Because see, if we don't help, we're partnering with parents, right? Most average parents, even if they grew up in the church, they're not really sure how to pass that faith on and how to disciple their kids. So they need and want the church's help, but we don't need to add to the chaos.
Right.
So I think we have to be careful in how we do that.
So the parent that's leaning in saying, man, I need a little more slow parenting in my life, right? Where do they start?
Great question. It takes rethinking and intentionality on the part of the parent. So let's say your kids are in sports and they're in club sports. So it's all year long. Well, when you're having those tournaments, why not stop between games, between swim meets, between whatever, and just go to the park and have a nice, calm picnic. Don't rush off with the other parents and go to the McDonald's down the street and, everything is hurry. But just stop. And so rethinking life, how can you add calmness? How can you add relationship building? And of course, there's so much research that says mealtime is important. So Americans, what is our mealtime? We are driving through the fast food places and dealing out the meals and eating on the run. Well, that's very unhealthy. but that's taking time away from when families just sit down. So intentional planning, rethinking, and making things like mealtime routine, so you don't even have to think about it. You just know that every evening at 6:00, my family is going to sit down and we are going to have dinner together. And I think also put a big emphasis on playing together. And playing looks different at each stages of the game, right? Each when your children are preschool, it looks different from when they're in high school. But I think it's important.
You have used the words slow and calm. You're sitting across the table from a mom of 4 boys, and I don't think those words are in my boys' vocabulary.
No.
It's so they're just full of energy,
Well,
and
here's the
things
thing.
like that. What does me being intentional about being slow and calm express or communicate to my boys?
Well, okay, for one thing, little boys, brain research will tell you that when little boys are learning, they're moving. So
Yes.
God created little boys to move. That is a wonderful thing. But a calmness could be, sitting, going fishing. The calmness could be, hey, let's just sit down and take time. We're going to take 15 minutes. Just sit down and tell me about your day. And then in 15 minutes, we're going to go outside and play basketball. I think it's just, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's go down to the school. Mom's going to run some laps around the track. Let's just run and play. And also, unstructured time for kids is extremely important. And so you're just going to the park and they're moving, they're laughing, but they're together. You're with them, you're playing. And so your calm time, that may be calm time for you. The calmness is because nobody's telling you have to be anywhere. The calmness is your sons are getting to run and play and do what they want to do. So that's calming. Been doing a lot of research on this. So another thing about outdoor play. Outdoor play is it's important to our health. Even so, outdoor play is more beneficial than indoor play. And outdoor play, your body is, you're using all your muscles, you're moving, you're running, you're playing, and that helps you sleep better. So if we think about all, kids that are coming home, they're getting on the screens, they're not ever going outside, and they're having trouble sleeping, and they're having anxious times. Well, maybe they just need to go outside and play. I mean, there could be other things going on, but that's the beginning of bringing calmness, God's world, into an anxious world.
Yeah. Well, Karen, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I hope some parents are encouraged today, and thanks for being at D6 with us.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I have been called slow. I don't know about you guys, but I now know it's a term of endearment when she said we need to be slow parenting our kiddos. Love that statement.
Yes.
That needs to be a book, don't you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Write it. Write this book, Karen.
Karen Kennemur, write it. This is a book.
Yes.
Keep going.
We need it.
That idea, because we often teach that, hey, God doesn't ask you to build anything more into your calendar based on Deuteronomy 6, but that phrase, as you go, as you do life. But I do like how Karen called us out to add 5 intentional minutes with our kids a day, 5 more minutes than what we normally do. She didn't say this, but I know from some experience that when you do that 5, sometimes it grows in a wonderful connecting way. I just love that. What about you guys?
Well, there's nothing in my entire being that is slow. And so I was just so challenged by that thought. And what are we modeling? And you know what? How much are we actually absorbing at the pace of this world? Truly. And how much are our kids absorbing about Jesus and the pace that he lives and expects for us to live when we're living so chaotic? And I'll tell you what, slowing is all about intentionality, and it does require the help of the Holy Spirit. And I love that thinking. I love how she just called us to, she talked about, as a piece of this, casual conversations are the best way to disciple and pass down faith. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for making a part of what I already do. That's just it.
Yes.
It's just really looking at what you already do and seeing how you can maximize and slow down and maximize and intentionalize your moments.
Yeah.
That's D6 in a nutshell. You know,
It is.
it really is. And, you know, for me, I'm with you, Marianne. I was convicted by that, you know, just because we try to cram as much as we can in a day, but it's like that John Mark Comer book, you know, if you look at the ruthless elimination of hurry, when you're in that busy mode, when you are hurrying and rushing all the time, the fruits of the spirit cannot be present in that mindset. You know, you have no patience, you have no joy, kindness, gentleness. It's like, let's go, we're running late. And I love the simple tweaks, parking a couple of blocks away just to walk to school, you know, like instead of running through the drive-through, have a picnic, you know what I mean? And just pushing slow within the midst of the time that you already have, you know, slowing things down and not necessarily cutting things out, but those transitions and things that you can tweak to give yourself that extra 5 minutes.
You know, I heard Karen say that she loved the fishing. Like, hey, kids are, you know, they need that time to be slower, to sit. And it's rare that our kids sit still. I do a very popular talk on car ride conversations. And I never really thought about it in quite the same context, but Karen's given me this new phrase to build in there is this is when our kids slow down and they're sitting, but they don't realize they're sitting like you would if you said, hey, sit in your living room, let's talk. They would think, oh, this is annoying. But when the car ride happens, it's natural. It's a perfect slow parenting moment that we need to lean into.
There was a friend of mine there is a friend of mine who's a songwriter here in Nashville, and his boys were into football. And when they would get home from school, he would throw the football back and forth with his kid out in the driveway. And, you know, he made the mention of that's how I got to connect with him. I'd get him talking about his life and we're throwing the football back and forth. And he had that idea for a song. He said, you know, he thinks we're just playing catch, but really there's something else going on. Well, that didn't quite have the ring to it. So he wrote the song, She Thinks We're Just Fishing. And it's a very popular country song, but it's about, you know, this father and daughter. She thinks we're just fishing, but I'm catching much more than just fish out here.
Yeah. And one of the things we were talking about off the air that I just want to caution the church to ministry leaders and those of you that are sitting in staff meetings and thinking through the calendar. Be careful, church, not to overprogram your families to the point where we're not setting up our families to win because they've got to be at the church Monday through Friday. Just be really careful that what happens a lot of times in church calendar is when you look at the calendar and you look at how many times you're asking families to be at the church, they've never spent 1 minute together.
Yeah.
And so I kind of appreciate that piece in there of we've got to make sure that we're giving space and time. Churches should be advocating for families to have dinner time. Churches should be advocating for car ride conversations. Churches should be advocating and helping give these families moments and learning to maximize moments of casual conversations. I want to just thank Karen for just her wise words. And let's just end on this. Moms, dads, grandparents, leaders, slow down. Slow down and maximize your discipleship moments and look for them. Look for opportunities to have faith conversations as you go and slow down. Whoa.
Yes. Very much so. So you're coming into the December season. If you want to take in more of this, there's a couple of different ways. Go to our D6 blog. You can check that out on d6family.com. Sign up to come to our conference. Hear other speakers. We also have, some of you are thinking about how do I enhance what I do? I'd love to learn more in a more intentional way. We offer a D6 Family Certificate where it's taught in conjunction with Bethel Seminary. And our next cohort begins next month. And so we're at the final time for you to register and become part of that. Check out d6family.com. Call in to our office if you need more information on any one of these items. Download the D6 Family app and play the Family Fun question game. That's a wonderful way to add 5 more minutes to your day with your kids. Thank you all for listening. You're why we're here, and we love serving you. We'll see you soon.
You've been listening to the D6 Podcast. You can learn more about D6 at d6family.com.